Hello video or welcome, let's talk about these rich and golden ages together. Something is constantly omitted when talking about this topic. Being rich was not directly reliable at any time. There is a reality that extends from the empires when it was at its peak, to the palaces of Babylon. Those who managed to get really rich stayed away from the established system. The rich people knew that money was not just money, wheat, title deeds and gold. Money is equal to power. It's your insurance. It was one of the survival plans whenever there was a crisis. People trusted this established system. The elite, the rich, were learning how to protect themselves from the system. It's not about how they got rich. The question we need to ask is, how did they manage to stay rich while this system around them was collapsing? In order to solve this question, we need to go back to the periods when the concept of wealth I mentioned was not just about the numbers in the bank. You may be asking why. I'll tell you right away. At that time, achieving wealth meant being able to manage resources that others could not reach. Let's continue the topic. MD. In the Mesopotamian city in the 4000s, merchants and rulers who were powerful, wealthy from the states did not hide their wealth in secret places. They tied their silver and gold to temple loans, agricultural land, trade routes. Keep that in mind. The Sumerian kings were often consciously intertwining religion and economics. At that time, temples were not only places to worship, these temples were one of the financial centers of the period. It took courage to touch this temple, because touching the temple at that time meant challenging the gods and waging war. This made the wealth in the temples politically untouchable. Like this order, there was a similar understanding in Egypt. Wealth does not consist only of money, places with high yields on the banks of the Nile, gold mines. You would have to oppose and destroy the state to get grain stores. In addition, the properties were placed in the temples I mentioned and were protected and monitored for hundreds of years. The value of money might have decreased at that time, but the land would always continue to produce. And now, let's go towards ancient Greece. Let's say in advance that things change here. There will be movement here. Corinthian merchants, instead of staying in one city, went to multiple places and spread their spoils to ports in different places. Ships are an investment tool for them. They establish ties with people who manage financial transactions in different places. To speak in the language of the current time, they were diversifying internationally in previous periods. The next stop is Rome. If we look at Rome, it took things a little further. The senators and the wealthy cavalry class were aware of the political risk. If they chose the wrong side, they could lose all their assets overnight. For this reason, they did not keep their wealth only as money. They bought land from different places, lent money to foreign sultans. In addition, the payoff was supported again and again by the strength of the Roman army. They have shifted their assets, which are suitable for moving, to safe places. Now let's look at Western Rome. Western Rome was heading towards collapse, and the state was weakened, but most of the powerful people who were large and had assets did not collapse or even survived. The reason was that they had taken their wealth spoils from risky areas such as public and put them in private and protected areas. The state was destroyed. But those who managed the land, food, and human power always remained standing. Now let's go to the Middle Ages. Here the system has changed again. Although churches are places of worship, they have become both a shield and a bank. The sultans had access to their enemies' belongings, but the spoils that came as donations to the church were highly untouchable. Rich families entrusted their spoils to people called monasteries for a while. Now let's go to the Islamic world. Here, thanks to the money transfer system, money was transferred without being physically moved. It was founded on trade networks and family reputation. If you've noticed, it's always the same system: distribute the risk. Don't be dependent on one power. What is the common purpose of everything I say? There are only two things. The first is control. To have an asset that continues to produce and increase value regardless of the type of crisis. The second is distance. What I'm saying is not to connect assets to a single system. Wealthy people who lived in ancient times knew this very well. If all the wealth has gone into the system, it is not completely yours. The period has changed, but the risks have never ended. The markets may collapse, and inflation is eroding purchasing power. The Son of Man continues to believe that this system is permanent. Until I saw that it wasn't. The rich of the previous period did not wait for the crisis that would happen for. He would have taken precautions beforehand. He moved towards beings with power. That financial freedom you hear about is not just about generating income, but turning that income or money into a crisis-resistant state. What I'm telling you is, if you're just going to learn a lesson, let it be this. The system provides services to those who know how to use it. If what I've told you has given you a new perspective, subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications and take care of yourself.